How dare these right-wing ideologues say that she shouldn't be able to have children, or millions of other mothers who have beautiful children through the miracle of IVF, through the advances of medical science. And they don't want to allow it for whatever reason. Well, I'm here to say, as majority leader, we are going to preserve the right to IVF, and we're not going to let these right-wingers take over and impose their views on beautiful women that we have here and millions more across America. Stories like Kate's make the Alabama Supreme Court's decision devastating. Republicans pushing that hard right agenda that takes away reproductive health choices from families like Kate will not succeed, because we are here as Democrats in the Senate, joined with some of our colleagues from the other side of the aisle, to make sure they don't. But just yesterday, Republicans blocked legislation to protect access to IVF, just as they've blocked so many other bills preserving reproductive care and protecting reproductive care. And IVF is just one piece of reproductive health care. Contraception, IVF, abortion. Democrats are making sure that Americans have freedom to make their own choices for themselves and their families. Every one of us knows beautiful little children who have been born through the miracle of IVF. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing. I know so many stories, so many, of people who tried, and finally IVF brought them the beauty of being a parent. So we can't let this happen. We can't let these ideologues impose their views on America, and particularly on American women. Alex McGill Johnson, the president of Planned Parenthood, will also be one of my guests for SOTU, State of the Union, called SOTU. Her leadership on reproductive care issues is remarkable. Planned Parenthood is one of the great beacons preserving a woman's right to health care and right to choose throughout America. And we're all going to stand together and hold Republicans accountable for their attacks on reproductive freedom. Together, Senate Democrats are going to work to make sure families have happy endings like Kate and David. Well, and another happy ending, God willing, happening very soon.
That's right. Yeah.
So let me turn to Kate so she can tell you personally what this means. This is not an abstract issue. It's real folks, real people.
I have to say that when I read the Alabama decision, I cried, because it denies the scientific reality that I have experienced and that other women every day across the U.S. experience. If an embryo was a baby, automatically, there would be so much less heartbreak in the world. People don't talk about miscarriage, but it's thought that actually up to 1 in 4 pregnancies end in a miscarriage. And this is a secret, painful battle that many people are fighting. And there are some of the purest and best humans that I know working tirelessly in scientific labs and in research across the country to improve our chances of having a baby. I was raised Catholic, and I believe God works through people, and these people are doing God's work. And to say that these people who have done nothing other than to help their fellow man, their fellow humans, should not be allowed to administer a medical treatment to a couple who so desperately wants to have a child is an anathema. We can't let it stand. I believe in a woman's right to choose. My choice to have a baby, I felt like was taken away from me. I wanted one so bad that I couldn't have it. And IVF gave me that choice back. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kate. Okay, Brian? Okay.
You're amazing.
Thank you, Leader Schumer. Thank you.
I'm going to have to go. Are you going to come back with me or you?
She's not sure.
Okay.
Yes, you're coming with us. Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leader Schumer. Thank you, Senator Murray. Thank you, Senator Duckworth, and the extraordinary parents and doctors who are united in this cause. Republicans are going after all of it. Abortion, medication abortion, IVF, contraception, all of it. And it is women and families who are being punished as a result, whether they're trying to get pregnant, stay healthy while pregnant, or end an unintended or risky pregnancy. They face impossible choices. Do you risk your own health with a high-risk pregnancy, or do you risk being thrown in jail for trying to get an abortion? Do you stay in a state that forces you to carry for months a non-viable pregnancy to term? Or do you travel hundreds of miles in secret to access a legal abortion? As the doctors up here know better than anyone, attacks on abortions threaten the entire system of reproductive care, even things like family planning programs and early miscarriage care. Hospitals and doctors are terrified now. Hospitals and doctors are terrified of providing the kind of care that will lose them their license or land them in jail. For instance, if you are an OBGYN in a state like Texas, you might be forced to delay or deny treatment to a patient with an ectopic pregnancy, because there's enough gray area that the state can arbitrarily decide that you broke the law and punish you for providing care. So it's entirely understandable that OBGYNs in these states are quitting, retiring early, or moving to a state that doesn't make criminals out of them. Because of extreme Republican policies, women and families can't get the care that they need, even when their lives are at risk. Republicans coming after it all, and they will not stop. But all of us here will continue to fight for as long as it takes until abortion rights are finally codified into federal law. With that, I want to turn it over to my guest, Dr. Olivia Manayan. Dr. Manayan was born and raised in Honolulu and is an OBGYN chief resident at the University of Hawaii, where she'll be specializing in complex family planning. Dr. Manayan.
Thank you so much, Senator Schatz. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. So as he said, I'm a complex family planning fellow to be, which means that I will specialize in abortion care as well as complex contraception and reproductive justice. I am honored and grateful to be with you all today and to know that across the country, I am joined by an army of strong, indomitable allies in the fight to restore and liberate reproductive health and bodily autonomy. The decision made by the Alabama Supreme Court, which refers to IVF embryos as unborn children, is filled with religiously charged, carefully chosen language, which attempts to establish a false precedent that life begins at fertilization. It is clear when reading the opinion put forth by the Chief Justice that the consequences this decision would have not only on individuals seeking IVF services, but also on those who provide them, were not carefully considered. Theology and ideology have no place in the court, especially when Bible quotes are used as data in order to publish a Supreme Court decision. In the same vein, politicians have no place in the doctor-patient relationship or in the relationship an individual has with her body. Every person with a uterus has the right to decide if and when she bears children. This decision is hers alone to make. To deny her this right is to mark her as a second-class citizen. By forcing a person to be a slave to her fertility, you deny her the ability to fully exercise her inalienable rights to life, liberty, and to the pursuit of happiness. The Alabama decision, the Dobbs decision, and subsequent legislation being passed in some states to restrict abortion does just that. The sole objective of these cases is to exercise control over women's bodies. Just as the Alabama decision led to harmful repercussions, so too do all abortion bans. Abortion bans do not stop abortions, they just prevent safe ones from happening. Women in this country are increasingly dying pregnancy-related preventable deaths. If we continue to restrict abortion as well as reproductive health training, this problem will only get worse. Until we see the prioritization of female human life in this country, I will continue to advocate for rights that we deserve. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the president and CEO of Planned Parenthood, Alexis McGill Johnson.
Thank you so much. It is such an honor to be here with all of you, senators. Thank you so much. You have been incredible, unwavering champions for reproductive rights and freedom. And I'm particularly honored as a fellow New Yorker to be the guest of the Senate Majority Leader during the State of the Union address tonight. We are living through just an unbearable moment at this time, one that requires every leader to protect reproductive freedom. In less than 2 years since Roe v. Wade was overturned, 21 states have restricted access to abortion, banned, restricted, and criminalized access to abortion care, leaving 1 out of 3 women plus more trans and non-binary folk without access to care in their states. And what we have seen in less than 2 years is how abortion bans make pregnancy more dangerous, how miscarriage gets criminalized, and how all aspects of our reproductive freedom, including IVF, are under attack. This is unacceptable, and the harm to patients and to providers is unconscionable. Now more than ever, with reproductive freedom under attack from birth control to IVF to abortion care, we need full-throated support and action from our leaders in the White House, through the halls of Congress, and on the court benches throughout this country. Whether, when, and how we decide to build our families, determine the course of our own futures, and whether we'll be able to participate as full and equal members of society is what is at stake. We are grateful for the many steps that the Biden-Harris administration has taken to protect patients and providers during the abortion crisis, access crisis, post-ops. And we're grateful to all of the Senate leaders, as the ones before us, who have been champions in Congress, who continue to do all they can to help patients get the support and accurate information. Calling for votes, making sure members have access to education, support, and stories to understand the impact. Having conversations with our patients, with our providers, and understanding what's really going on the ground. Your thoughtful leadership and your incredible partnership reminds us that we are not alone in this fight, and we also know we are not going to continue to go back. We are not going to back down from this fight. We know that the majority of Americans are on our side, and we're going to continue to fight with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much to everyone who's participated today, and we're happy to take any questions. Yes. On IVF in particular, we asked for unanimous consent last week to all the Republicans who said, oh, no, I support IVF, who blocked it. That prevented us from doing it. Every single one of us here knows that we have tremendous challenges on the floor today to just get our actual business that we have to get done, our appropriations bills and other items. They made it very clear that if we were to bring this bill up, it would take weeks on the floor. They would use every procedure. So the answer is simple to all the Republicans who say they support IVF: don't block the bill, let's pass it. Well, not unless the Republicans allow us to bring it up, and right now they're saying no.
President Biden has already called for the leaders on the a lot of the leaders I guess after hearing all of these things and speaking up this morning, is there something new that you want to hear from the president tonight that he hasn't called for?
Well, let me make it very clear. The president has done, as Alexis said, everything we've asked him to do that he's capable under the current law. What we all know ultimately needs to be done is to restore Roe to the law of the land, and I expect that he will say that tonight. Yes. On an entirely different topic. So what we are waiting for is for the Republicans to determine whether or not they're going to use all the time. And under our rules, they have under cloture will not ripen until tomorrow morning. And then they have the opportunity to offer amendments. They have not yet given us a list, and we're working through that right now. We all know the deadline tomorrow night. We're working very well on the remaining 6 bills. There's a number of really hard decisions to be made. There were on these bills. We just have to work through them one at a time, and to show us we did last night in the House, we've got the votes for this. Let's just make these decisions, and let's get these bills done.
May I ask one more on topic?
You could?
I know in the first tranche of 6 bills, there were quite a few reproductive rights proposals.
The House put on.
The House put on.
Anti-abortion, thank you. Yes,
That dropped off.
yes.
What is the outlook on those?
Oh, I've made it very clear from day one throughout the negotiations, we will not accept any, not one, not tiny, not little, not big abortion rider on these bills, and have made that very clear. It's why we have 6 bills today without any on it, and we will have 6 more without any on it. All right, thank you very much.